Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. Those of you that are new to my channel, my name is Maria, and today I'm going to be trying out two new Fenty Beauty releases. One is the 12 pan eyeshadow palette, and the other is essentially a highlighter palette. It has 3 different shades in it, although it does say on their website can be used for cheeks, face, and the rest of your body as well. So both of these palettes have been inspired from the really popular Fenty Beauty gloss bombs, and in particular the shades Fussy, Fenty Glow, and Hot Chocolate. This is made in the USA, and it says it has a shelf life of 12 months from date of opening. So here is the outside of the eyeshadow palette, and inside are the 12 shades, and with a really good size mirror as well. Essentially, this palette is separated into 3 quads. So over here in the 4 you have Fussy, and then the middle quad is Fenty Glow, and then the last 4 is Hot Chocolate. And I did notice some comments from some people, especially when this was shown on Instagram that this was being released, that they weren't really impressed with their eyeshadow formula. I've only tried one other Fenty Beauty eyeshadow before, and that was their snap together cases, and that was with the 6 shadows in it, and I only got the number 1, and I really like that eyeshadow. I think it looks really beautiful, and I had no issues with applying it at all. So these 2 palettes, I'll show you the other palette in a minute, they snap together just like those smaller 6 shadow cases did as well. So for storage or for traveling, it is quite convenient. So this eyeshadow palette is called the Balm Posse, and I was trying to figure out why they called it Posse. And Posse means groups, so perhaps because they've grouped together 3 different of the most popular gloss bombs, that's why they've called it that. And it also has another title underneath it. It's also called the Mega Mix and Match Eyeshadow Palette, and each eyeshadow in the palette has 1 gram of product. So here is the other one. This is called the Diamond Bomb Triple Dip. It's an all over diamond veil palette, and again inspired by the colours Fussy, Fenty Glow, and Hot Chocolate. And here is the outside of it. I'll just put it so it's not showing a glare, and it's a really beautiful rose gold colour. It is gorgeous. It does show all the fingerprints. I just had to give it a really good wipe before I started this video. These highlighters I have swatched, and they don't seem that pigmented. So it's going to be interesting when I try them out a bit later, because I haven't tried them on my face. I only tried them as swatches on my arm. And here are the 3 colours. So you've got Fussy, and then Fenty Glow, and Hot Chocolate. These are like a bake sort of formula. The website describes them as a jelly-like formula. And when you put your finger in the product, they do feel quite soft. So I suppose that's where the description of that jelly-like formula comes from. And each of the highlighters in this palette have 2.9 grams of product. I'm not sure whether I said, but this product is made in the USA, just like the eyeshadow palette. So the eyeshadow palette I haven't actually swatched at all. So I'm going to swatch that on my arm now so you can take a look. And what I'm planning to do is do 3 different eye looks and concentrating on each quad within the palette for each of those looks. So these are the shades from the first quad in the palette, the one described as Fussy. And the first shade I don't even think you'll be able to see, because I can hardly see it on my arm as well. And it's called Vanilla Cake. And then we have Ballerina. And then the next shade is Fussy. And the 4th one is Rock and Rose. Now Vanilla Cake and Rock and Rose are both mattes. And this one here is, I would say, a shimmer. And this one possibly a shimmer as well, although maybe it's supposed to be a metallic. So it'll be interesting to see what they're like when I put them on. And here are the shades from the second quad, inspired by the Gloss Bomb Fenty Glow. And this one here is called Cinnabutta. That's a matte. This one is La Bronze, and this is a shimmer. And this one here is called Fenty Glow, and that would be the metallic. And then the last one is called Bare Bruns, and that is a matte shade. And here is the last quad in the palette. This shade here is a matte, and it's called Nudes Beige. This one is a shimmer, and it's called Beverly Chills. The third one, the metallic, is called Hot Chocolate. And then the final one, which is a matte, is called Get This Bread. So the shades, when I swatched them on my arm, felt really nice. A couple are quite light, but given the names of them, it's not surprising that they are. And so it'll just be really interesting to see what they're like when I try them on. So I'm just going to snap together both of these palettes so you can see what they're like when they're put together. And they just snap together like that. And probably really convenient for storage if you don't have much room, or if you really love them both and want to take them with you when you're traveling. So just like those smaller 6 eyeshadow palettes that they had, just easily snap together and easily pull apart as well. So I'm going to start with Fussy, this quad here, and I'm going to use all the colours, and I will, for each of the 3 looks that I do in each quad, I will be using all the colours to see how they perform. So I'm going to start with Fussy, and I'm going to take my Rapha number 15 brush, and I'm going to go into that lightest shade. You probably won't be able to see much of this at all, but I'm going to place it all over my eyelid. So you can't really see that shade at all on my eyelids. It's really just a perfect match for my skin tone. So next I'm going to go into the next matte shade, and I'm going to take the Sonia G. This is the Crease Pro, and I'm going to put this in my crease and just slightly above as well. Then I'm going to use the same shade. I'm going to use the Rapha number 3 and just put some just under my lower lash line. And normally if I wanted some extra definition on my lower lash line and my upper lash line, I would go towards the darkest colours in these palettes, probably either that one, this one, or a mixture of the both. But for the separate 3 eye looks, I just want to stick to the separate 3 quads. So I may put a bit of eyeliner on with this look. But let's go into the metallic shade next. And I'm going to put that on all over my lower lid. And I'm not going to wet the brush. This is the Sonia G Builder 3. So I just want to see how this metallic performs. And that is the shade down here. We got a brand new day. Good love is on the way. And if you take my hand, I'll walk with you to Georgia. Well, it's a really pretty shade, but I don't know whether it applied that well on the lid. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wet the brush and see what that's like. I've got a feeling the metallics with the other couple of shades are going to be better than this colour. Well, it's definitely better when I wet the brush. So if you haven't got a brush similar to this that's fairly dense, then I would probably put it on with your finger. Any brush that's any more fluffy than this sort, I don't think you would get much payoff at all. So I'm just going to use just a tiny bit of the shimmer colour. It's a very, very light pink. So I'm just wiping down my Rapha number 3 brush, and I'm just going to put a little bit of that shade on the inner corner of both eyes. So that shimmer shade actually went on fairly well on the inner corner. So I was a bit surprised with that, just using the Rapha number 3 brush. It looks really nice. I do like these colours. I love pinks and rosy colours anyway. So now I'm just going to off camera put on some eyeliner and mascara so you can take a final look at this first quad. So here is the finished look with eyeliner and mascara. The mascara is the Chanel Le Volume, and I used a Charlotte Tilbury eyeliner. It's just a deep brown colour. Putting on the eyeliner definitely helps everything else pop. I think that this look is really pretty. You would have to really love your pinks though to just love this quad on its own. And then when I wet the brush for that metallic shade, it does look a lot better. It didn't go on so well when the brush was just dry, but looks a lot better once I wet the brush down. So now I'm going to take this eye makeup off and I'll be back so we can have a try out with the second quad in the eyeshadow palette. So now I'm going to go into the Fenty Glow quad, the second one along. I'm going to take the Rapha number 15 brush again, and just like the other quad, go into the lightest shade first. This again probably won't be able to see on my eyes, maybe a little bit. It's slightly darker than that other lighter shade that I used. These mattes are blending really well though. They do blend beautifully. They're not patchy at all. And then using the Sonia G Crease Pro again, I'm going to go into the second matte shade. This is the darker one. I'm going to put this through my crease and just above, and also put some of this colour on my lower lash line as well. Then I'm going to take the Sonia G Builder 3, just like I did last time. I'm going to try it dry first and go into this metallic shade here. And with this colour, I'm going to put it on the outer corner of the eye, just towards the middle. And then on the rest of my lid, I'll use the shimmer shade. But I just want to see what this one is like dry first. Well, that shade shows better put on dry than it did the other more pink shade that I tried. So I'm just going to turn my brush around and go into this shimmer shade here, still just with the dry brush. And this time I am going to use one of these colours just to give a little bit of definition to my upper lash line. So I'm going to use the Hourglass number 10 brush and go back into this matte shade here. So here's the Fenty Glow with my mascara on now. I didn't add any extra eyeliner. I think these shades are really beautiful. They seem to have, it's probably just because of the colour, they're a bit deeper, a little bit more payoff with the dry brush. But like I said, it's probably just the colour more than anything else. I also need to give these a go just using my finger as well. But this quad, the Fenty Glow part of the palette, worked just fine with the dry brush that I had. As I said, the mattes blend beautifully. I don't find them patchy at all. It's just with these shimmers and metallics, I think if you want more payoff, then you probably will need to wet your brush or use your finger. So now I'm going to wash all this off, and then I'll be back and we'll do the final quad, which is hot chocolate. So now let's do the final look. This is the last quad, and based on the Gloss Bomb Hot Chocolate, these are a lot more pigmented, these shades, but I'm still going to start off with the Rapha number 15 brush. I've given all my brushes a quick clean just after I washed my eye makeup off. And I'm going to go into this shade, but I'm not going to go all over the lid. Instead, I'm going to go just through my crease and up above on my brow bone. And I don't know what those men see, but I see you right next to me. And if you take my hand, I'll walk with you to Georgia. I'm going to use the Rapha number 3 brush, and I'm going to put that same shade on my lower lash line. I will be using the darkest shade as well. I don't think I said, but I am wearing eyeshadow primer. I use the MAC Paint Pot one. And this time I am going to put the darker matte shade on the outer corner of my eye and a bit through the crease and above as well. This is, I'm not sure whether I said, it's the Sonergy Worker 3 brush.
We got a brand new night, and good love will soon arrive. And when it does, then come a little closer. Have you ever seen the stars burn out?
Now I'm just going to take the Chocohodo, this is that blend brush that I use a lot, just to soften out the edges. I think I've said this before, but it probably looks like I'm pressing really hard, but I'm not. This brush is really, really soft. So even though it looks like I'm pressing hard, I'm not. There's really no pressure on my eyelids at all. Then I'm going to use that same dark shade and put a little bit more on my lower lash line, again using the same Rapha number 3 brush. So now we'll try this metallic shade here. This is the Sonergy, the Builder 3, like I used with the other couple of metallic and shimmer shades. And we'll see how this goes. I might also, once I put this on, also try it with my finger this time as well. Well, that went on really beautifully, and I don't think I really need to use my finger, but I will. I'll dip it into that shade and just slightly go over the top and just see if it gives any more pigment, although I think what it laid on with the dry brush is really, really beautiful. So I do think you get slightly more payoff with the finger, but like I said, I think this shade went on beautifully just with the dry brush, and I love that shade. It is really, really gorgeous. All of these shades in this palette, possibly apart from this shade down here, might be a bit bright pink for me, probably better mixed in with these other more neutral shades, but they would all work really beautifully together as well. So I want to use this shade and put it all over the top of the two, of the matte and the metallic one that I've just put on. I think this is a really beautiful shade, and hopefully this will look quite nice with this over the top. This shade has got a really beautiful rose colour to it, and it just lifts that colour just that little bit more. And I'm going to put some of that same rose colour using the Rapha number 3 brush just on the inner corner of my eyes. And I am going to line my upper lash line using this darker shade, and again the Hourglass number 10 brush, just to give a bit of definition. So now I'm just going to pop it on mascara and then I'll be back. So this is with the mascara on, and I think that Final Quad is probably my favourite, but I think it would also be beautiful mixed with some of the other colours in the palette as well. So now let's get into the Diamond Bomb. It's the triple dip. It's got quite a long name. And again, as I said at the very beginning, this is based on the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bombs as well. And again, it's based on the colours Fussy, Fenty Glow and Hot Chocolate. And I also said that yesterday I swatched these on my arm and you couldn't really see them that well. So I'll swatch them for you now, and then we'll give a couple of these colours a go once I've put my blush on. So here are the 3 colours. This one here is Fussy, and this one is Fenty Glow, and this one is Hot Chocolate. I don't know whether you'll be able to see the first one, Fussy, very well. I can just sort of see it on my arm, but hopefully I've turned the ring light down, so hopefully the camera will pick it up. They seem to be, without trying them on, quite fairly subtle type of highlighters. So I'm going to put some blush on first, and I just wanted a very neutral, soft looking blush. So I've chosen, it's a Laura Mercier one. I have 3 of her blushes, and I really do love the formula of hers, and I've chosen the colour Ginger. It's a really beautiful soft colour, and I'm going to put it on using the Chukuhodo. This is the F03 brush, so I just want a very soft wash of colour just to see how the Fenty Beauty highlights work over the top. So the Diamond Bond Triple Drip is described just underneath that title as an all-over diamond veil palette. So the word veil would sort of seem that it is more sort of a lighter wash of colour. But I'm going to try 2 different things. I'm going to try using a fan brush and put some on just on the high part of the cheekbone. And then I'm going to try the Sonia G. This is the Smooth Buffer, and buff some all over the blush that I've put on as well, and just see how it goes and what they look like. So I'm going to try the colour Fussy first, and I am going to use, it's the Rapha number 20 fan brush, and just see if this gives any type of payoff at all. It gives a very light sprinkling of highlight and sparkle, and they do describe these as no grit type of formula, so they aren't chunky in any way, and they don't feel chunky either when I swatch them on my arm. And I want to put all that now over the top of the blush, so I'm going to take the Sonia G Smooth Buffer to do that, and I'm going to use the same colour. So it definitely goes on better using this brush, and it just gives very sort of like a scattering of sparkles all over the cheek, and it does blend in really beautifully. It's quite a interesting type of formula. So on the other cheek, I'm going to try a different colour. I'll use the fan brush and the Smooth Buffer as well, and I think I'll go in with the 3rd shade. That one is Hot Chocolate. So I'll grab the fan brush first. And again, it only just gives a very light sparkle. You probably can't even see it. So I think these are meant just to be buffed over a blush you have, or if you haven't got blush, maybe just on their own. It is a lovely formula though. It's just a matter of trying to work out how it gets used. So I've got that same Hot Chocolate shade on the Sonia G Smooth Buffer, and I will buff that into the blush. So they really just give a very soft glow on top of the blush, and I really like that. I like more of a subtle glow, but if you're expecting sort of a highlighter that's going to give this really massive punch of colour, that's not what you're going to get from this palette. I prefer it subtle because it doesn't emphasize texture on my skin, and these colors aren't doing that. I think they're really subtle, and I think they are just super pretty. So now I'm going to put on some lipstick. This is a new to me lipstick. I've used another Kjaer Weis lipstick, which I have, which is, I think the color is KW Red, so it's fairly bold, and I really love the formula. So I picked up another color, and this is in Serene, and this is a very soft neutral type of colour. And here is the finished look. I really like the eyeshadow palette. The very first metallic that I used, I'll just open it up here, that was the very light pink. It did work better with the brush dampened down, but I didn't need to wet the brush with the other 2 metallic shades from the other 2 quads. So it's probably just supposed to be more of a softer colour. This last look that I put on, I really love, and especially this shade here. It has some rose in it, and also has that brown in it too. It's just an absolutely stunning shade, and I'd have to have a look through my collection to see whether I've got anything similar to that. But the mattes in this palette blended beautifully. I had no issues whatsoever. I thought they just went on really, really well, and they look really, really pretty. I mean, I stuck to each individual quad for each of the 3 looks, but normally what I would probably do is if I went to the softer look and wanted just a bit more definition in my lower lash line and upper lash line, I'd either go for one of these 2 shades or even perhaps the deeper one here. But it could certainly be mixed and matched and have some really beautiful eye looks. The Diamond Bomb Triple Drip Palette, and it's also described as the All Over Diamond Veil Palette, has a lot of words, these palettes. It is really pretty and really subtle. I thought when it was based on the Diamond Bomb that it was going to be this big punch of colour that really I probably wouldn't wear a lot, but because it's just really, really subtle, this is something I will reach for a lot. Look beautiful during the day, and even if you're just going for a no makeup look, I think these will look really beautiful over the cheeks as well, and probably it would look good on the rest of the face too. They are just subtle and super, super pretty. But like I said, if you're after something that's going to give this massive punch of colour like a normal highlighter, this is not going to do that. But you're after a little bit of sparkle and a really gorgeous glow, then this is a really beautiful palette. And that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Bye.